Yeah, Reverend Bill, summer is coming to a close. It's amazing how fast the months and the seasons fly by.
Yeah.
It's the time of the season. Remember that great old song?
Yeah.
Well, let me get this out of the way while Reverend Dr. Bill is eating. Do a quick promo. This gentleman next to me is a self-portrait of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Okay. It is a watercolor painting. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist. You can go to our Newsletter Censored Facebook page and see the entire William J. Eisenman collection, or you can go to Google and type in the William J. Eisenman collection and you will see the slideshow on video. If you like something that you see, be it watercolor or gouache painting, send him an email at newslettercensored.com and ask him if the painting is still available, and you can acquire one of his paintings. Okay? This is the very backbone and foundation of our entire organization, Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977. This is the very best way to join our organization and be a part of our organization, Newsletter Censored. So simply, if you want to support this work and you want to get information that we do not reveal on our talk shows or on our websites, then go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. You need Newsletter Censored. We are living in the end times, and you need Newsletter Censored, believe me. There's nothing like it out there. It's the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? And it's just loaded with great information. So the best way to be informed and to hear the real hard-hitting truth that you're never going to hear in today's mainstream media or read in the mainstream press, get your subscription to Newsletter Censored right now. That's newslettercensored.com. Click on the printable order form, and while you're at newslettercensored.com, check out Dr. Bill for President. Yes, this is the third time that the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is running as a progressive independent, and he will teach you how to write in a candidate, and also the best way, the only way to get corruption out of politics is to take the money out of politics and learn that God's economics is the way to go, not with business as usual with the devil's economics that we have had in America for quite a long time, ever since they shifted the tax burden from the rich to the middle class and the poor. I would say that was the beginning of the end for doing the right thing.
Well, now wait a minute. Didn't you just have a conversation with a guy that's figured 92% is too high?
Well,
it's 35% now, supposedly.
A die-hard progressive liberal Democrat, Mr. John Starodumsky, said that it's punishing corporations and punishing the rich by bringing back the 92% tax rate on the rich.
So in other words, it was punishing them.
I don't think it is.
After the war in 1945 until like 1974, when the rates were high like that, it was punishing them? Our best economic times?
Yeah, how could it be punishing them during our best economic times? Well, Mr. Red Rooster told me that John Starodumsky has a corporate job and he cannot say too much. He cannot say too many negative things or any negative things at all about corporations, about corporate America on YouTube, on the internet.
Well, then is that the freedom that the Republicans are always talking about? That you should fear?
Sounds like
a corporation that is providing you with your money to survive.
Sounds like fascism to me.
Sounds like a problem to me.
Like I told the idiot last night that gave me that ridiculous Bible verse that which he misinterpreted. I told him a society, a system where the people have to pay out of pocket for absolutely everything really sucks. And the fact that the American dream is in reality only for the rich, that doesn't sound like a great system. And then I told them that
sounds like the system we've had for thousands of years.
And I told them that Karl Marx did not represent any particular political party. He just mentioned all the flaws and shortcomings of capitalism and criticized capitalism and was honest and hard-hitting and told the truth. And he automatically became controversial, of course, but he wasn't representing any political party at the time. But of course the ass-kissing, corporate ass-kissing Republican individual had to come back with some other information about Karl Marx, you know.
Well, you should never get in a conversation about Karl Marx, communism, socialism, because then they have their ideas, etc., and you lose track of what you were discussing.
Well,
see, because for them, communism is a fight against capitalism. Capitalism is God, Chevrolet, and mom and apple pie.
Well, I got news for you. If you have the proven facts and the truth on your side, people can think anything they want and take all the tantrums they want like a baby. The truth wins over lies.
Unfortunately, as the Bible points out very clearly, and as you look back in history and see what happened to all of God's peoples, 11 of the apostles, etc., when you have the truth and you speak the truth, you will be persecuted.
By wicked people.
By people in power. Wicked and otherwise.
Which are usually wicked.
They're deceived.
Well, a person that pretends to be good and in power and
angels of light
and ends up doing the right thing for the 1%, for the fat cats, is kind of like a false prophet. If you run on with a campaign of caring about the poor and the middle class,
you mean like Mr. Clinton did,
and the little guy, shedding a tear, a crocodile tear for the people, for the masses,
but gutting the welfare program,
and then gutting the welfare program, cutting it. And what about Glass-Steagall?
All of that.
Glass-Steagall, he eliminated Glass-Steagall?
Who?
Clinton, or he created it?
It was other people who lobbied to get rid of the law. Mr. Clinton signed that.
Whatever happened
into law?
Whatever happened to telling lobbyists to just fuck off?
How can you do that when they're the ones giving you the money?
Ah, the campaign, the moolah, the big mamoo. Isn't that the same as bribery or paying somebody off?
We don't use that word in politics.
That's an old time term, right? Bribery. Taking a bribe would be like a cop taking a bribe, right? Okay.
Well, we don't call it that. Okay?
Semantics?
We say, just because you give me hundreds of thousands of dollars for my campaign does not mean I'm going to do what you want me to do. Oh, really?
Then we ain't going to give it to you? Is that what they say?
They don't have to. You know it's a joke.
Remember that episode of The Honeymooners when Ralph became a hero in the headline news by capturing Bullets-Durgam. You know, he fingered Bullets-Durgam, and he got, you know, Bullets-Durgam got arrested, and then of course, you know, Bullets-Durgam broke out of jail and was gunning for Ralph, and he helped capture him again, put him away, and then all of a sudden these two politicians, these two shady-looking characters, approached Ralph and said that he should run for councilman in Brooklyn, should run for councilman, and he would win based on the fact that he was now a local hero. And what happened was they said, we'll get you in office, but after you get elected, you have to listen to us, and we'll tell you exactly what to vote for, what to vote against. You know, every move you make in office, you have to come to us. We will instruct you what to do and what not to do. And it turned out that they were a couple of corrupt dudes. And
today we have Alec doing that. They'll write the laws for the politicians today.
And they'll do it because they pay them.
Yeah, they do it because they're lobbying for their corporations.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, back to what we were talking about. You wanted to get back to Boohoo and Yahoo and Hoo-Hoo and Yoo-Hoo and no Ovaltine and Bosco and whatever the heck that was.
Toho and Boho.
I like
Bohu.
I like Yoo-Hoo.
Bohu, Hebrew, means waste and empty.
Okay.
And again, like we said, God did not create it that way. Okay? Isaiah 45, verse 18, the earth was not created in vain. Jeremiah 4, verses 23, and also Isaiah 34, verse 4. The earth became chaotic, tohu and boohoo, and had to be renewed. Psalm 104, verse 30. So that conveniently does away with the 6,000-year earth theory by these born-again, counterfeit Christians.
Right.
Who caused the tohu and bohu? Lucifer caused the tohu and bohu. Isaiah 14, verses 12 through 15. Lucifer is the king of the earth, the God of this world. Ezekiel 28, verses 12 through 17. Lucifer was the cherub who covered the throne of God. Exodus 25, verses 17 through 20. He was in the government of God. But he was cast out of heaven. Revelation 12, 3, verses 13. 2 Peter 2, verse 4. Those angels with Lucifer sinned. They sinned, and now are restrained on the earth. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. They are cast down. Now, if you read 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, you will see the word hell is there. And of course, we determined that hell comes from the Greek Hades, Sheol, which means a grave. Correct? Mm-hmm. But in this translation, the original word was tartaros, a Hebrew word which means restraint, a prison, a place of restraint. The devil and his minions are restrained here on the earth until their judgment time, when they will be delivered into chains of darkness forever and ever and ever, because they're immortal. They can't be killed. But, and we will get to this in a little while here, to disqualify your hell stuff, you know,
well,
a place where the immortal souls are tortured forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah, not mine. I mean, you know, the other people.
Yes.
The right-wing fundamentalists.
Anyway, Jude 6, verse 7 shows how the angels became corrupt. And, you know, tohu and bohu, the earth was covered with water. Dark. That's why God had to renew the face, the surface of the earth. Okay? And ever since the, of course, the thrown out of the Garden of Eden, man, humans, have been given 6,000 years to go their own way. God is not judging them. Go their own way, create their own political crapola, their own civilizations, their own building, their own whatevers. He's not here directing them. Now you be good. Don't you wear no mascara. That's a sin. I won't like you. I'll throw you in hell. This is weird human fantasies. It's not what the God of the Bible is all about. And then most of them think, well, God's trying to save the world. There's a battle going on between him and Satan. Well, if there's a battle going on between him and Satan, Satan is winning. There ain't no battle. Satan, too, has been given 6,000 years to do his badness. Okay? To test humans, to see which ones will be true and faithful, etc. But these are only a few that will do that, or be that, or are called. The numbers are few. So you don't need to go evangelizing because it's of no good. Oh, it helps you feel better. Because it may, oh, I'm doing something, I'm doing good works.
Self-esteem, and it boosts their ego. And of course, if you disagree with them, they get mad at you.
Well, of course.
They start raising their voice.
Of course.
If you disagree with them.
Right. But that just goes to show you what?
That you're striking a raw nerve that they don't want to hear.
Well, it's about them. Me, self, vanity.
Well, the people that are in the people that are in that born again evangelical clan, they do talk about themselves a lot. You know, they get up and they do give their testimony in front of the church or the Bible study group, and they're talking about
how I became a counterfeit Christian.
You know, how I became one, and I was talking to the Lord the other day, and I had a problem, and I was telling him blah 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 blah, and he sent me a blessing, and he made my problem disappear.
Wow.
And it's always what God is doing for them every time they ask for something.
Who did he tithe to?
Like God was a Santa Claus or a genie, huh?
Who did he tithe to?
Who did they tithe to?
Well, who did that particular person? He said he talked to God, so obviously he knows God's church and knows the person and place to tithe. Who did he tithe to?
He tithed to the non-denominational pastor.
That's not God's church. The Bible clearly makes that clear, that is not God's church.
Yeah. But isn't that very self-centered when somebody just keeps on talking about my
Of course it is.
my problems, and I spoke to God, and the Lord blessed me and sent me a blessing my way, and then everybody
John.
claps and says, "Oh, another example
What is that, like a 12-step program?
of the Lord." Yeah, it sounds like that.
Hello, my name is John so-and-so.
That's what they do.
I was an alcoholic.
So they're copying AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And they have name tags. Oh, you're Pete. Hey, you're.
Hey, give me some more black coffee.
You're Barbara. How you doing
And some
there?
donuts.
God bless you. God bless you. How you doing? They got coffee and donuts. No, they do.
I know.
They got coffee and donuts on the table. And the guy, and then they're praying for each other. You know, the guy. Oh, by the way, I'm ordained. I'm a pastor. He lays his hand on top of the head of the person. The person tips, you know, looks downward, and he lays his hand. He starts going. You're cleansed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for praying for me.
But again, what about John 6, verse 44 and verse 65, where you must be called by God?
That kind of discredits all the things I just said, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? No. Isn't it funny how the Bible tends to do that?
Laying of the hands. I am praying for you. You're healed.
In Genesis 2, verse 7, man became a living soul.
Genesis.
That happened when God, and guess who that God was in the garden there? Which one that was? Was that the Father?
The Logos?
Or was that the Word, the one that became Jesus, who became a human?
Is that
Who was that
Is that
in the garden?
Melchizedek?
And who was also Melchizedek? Who was that one prancing around the garden, educating and creating this full-sized human being?
That was the spirit that became Jesus later on, right?
Who was animate. Remember, full-sized human being was animate
Is this
until that God breathed into him the breath of life.
the same
Nephesh.
spirit? Nephesh, the breath of life.
And he became a living soul.
And Nephesh,
Adam.
Nephesh in Hebrew is
A soul.
a soul. Isn't this?
And it has nothing to do with immortality.
Is this?
Because all animals are living souls.
Now, wasn't the spirit that became Jesus also the spirit that created the universe and the earth?
That's correct. That's the Word.
Melchizedek, the Word, the
Word.
Logos,
They're all the same thing. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
God of the
Yahweh.
Old Testament.
What about Elohim?
Elohim is both of them together.
Ah,
Not uno. Both of them.
both.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just destroy someone's fantasy about monotheism? Because the Bible does not talk about one God, one spirit personage. It talks about two.
Yeah, well, they like to say they're separate, but they're one.
They're one in mind, agreement,
But not
the
in.
same thing,
But not in entity.
not in entity.
So they're insisting that they're separate and one in entity. The born again holy rollers.
Correct. Another one that they do not get from the Bible.
They sure like to make up their own stuff as they go along, don't they?
Yeah. John 1, verses 1 and John 14 and 1 Corinthians 10, verse 4, they all show that Jesus, the God who became Jesus, was the God of the Old Testament, whom they called Yahweh.
Yeah.
Concerning your works, here's something. Salvation is a gift of God, not a right. Romans 6, verse 23. It can't be earned. But good works, character building, are required. Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 10. You can't just believe in Jesus. Grace through faith. You have to become a new creature. Ephesians 4, 23 through 24. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. God is reproducing himself. Many sons he's bringing to salvation. Romans 8, verse 19. 2 Peter 1, verse 4.
So the right-wing born-again evangelicals, they're insisting that, you know, works and...
they'll get you into heaven. But there again...
No, they're saying that works. They're saying that works in the law is dead, and all you have to do is believe.
Grace. Yeah.
Grace.
Yeah.
And they keep on talking about Paul's letters. They never talk about any other parts of the Bible. So when I mentioned the Old Testament, they say, well, that was a story that was applicable to that time.
So then why wasn't the New Testament applicable to 2,000 years ago and not today? That don't hold water, because the both books go together.
Yeah.
God's church is built on the foundation of the prophets.
So their Christianity is more like a cult than it is God's original church.
That's correct. That's correct.
You're learning a lot here. You're learning a lot here from my co-host and mentor.
Well, it's not the... Again, let's get back to their immortal soul. Okay? The wages of sin is death. Well, if you had an immortal soul, why would you fear death? Yet the wicked shall be ashes under the feet of Jesus, and then burned up in the lake of fire. You do not burn up an immortal soul. That's why Satan has to be put away. He's an immortal soul. You can't destroy him.
So there's a lot of common sense with Bible interpretation. Obviously.
Well, as long as you're not deceived. I mean, there's a problem there. See, we got a problem. The Bible is coded. The red thread of the Bible is here a little, there a little. It's not from beginning to end. It's not chronological. Like I always say, the beginning of the Bible, the first book of the Bible should actually be John 1, verse 1, not Genesis. Because John 1, verse 1 talks about a time before the creation of the universe. Before any kind of physical thing was ever created. And it's two gods talking amongst themselves. And the one God goes about creating the physical universe. So, I mean, it's not, the Bible, just like the parables, are not for everyone. There are certain parts of the Bible that were shut up. Daniel was shut up until the time of the end. It could not be understood until the time of the end.
Now the thing where the fundamentalists are saying that Satan and his demons sit in heavenly places, like it says in that one section of the Bible. You found another verse that says that Satan has been cut off from God.
Well, we just read that before. He has been restrained here on the earth. He was cast out of heaven.
So the part where it says we do not fight against flesh and blood, the principalities who sit in heavenly places, what does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything because it's not a verse in the Bible. You only have half the verse. The verse that the part you added about sitting in heaven, this does not exist.
Heavenly places
does not exist.
So they're adding
it's
things.
It's talking about the devil in being able to influence and deceive you.
Not that
principalities. You're fighting about
Right.
Principalities, not individual people.
Right. Not that they're living in heaven and they have ranks. They added that. In other
They
words.
are no longer in heaven. Satan and 1/3 of his angels are restrained here on the earth.
So these people that like to go around judging others and handing out tracts and preaching, these people have the Bible interpretation pretty twisted
First of all,
and distorted.
If you are making something clear to others, such as the God Project,
Right.
writing about the Bible, etc. If you are doing that, you do not give it to someone unless they ask for it. Okay? You do not evangelize.
No,
You do not proselytize.
You don't bop them on the head
And you do not convert by the sword.
or try to lay a guilt trip on them and be a fire and brimstone
Or whatever.
preacher. Yeah. Okay.
Now let's get back to the soul. If the soul were immortal, why would Genesis 2:16 verse through 17 say that souls can die?
Yeah.
Also Ezekiel 18 verse 4 and verse 20. Souls can be destroyed. Matthew 10 verse 28. Animals and humans die. Ecclesiastes 3 verses 19 through 21. They do not have immortal souls. They die, and they can be killed. And that is exactly why, when the experiment with the angels failed, God came up with man. Because in the end, if man continued in his own way and did not take on the character of God and the Holy Spirit and allow God to rule him, he could be burned up.